health and fitness with David Hollywood.
With DS Sports, the teamwear specialists. Lightning fast delivery and unbeatable service at dssports.ie.
Hello and welcome. Let's have a look at what's coming up on an exciting show this week. She's already a legend of Irish track and field at the tender age of just turned 22. She's inspiring young girls and boys all over the country, and she's on health and fitness. Fresh off the back of the Paris Olympics, Rashidat Adeleke will be with us shortly. Speaking of running, the 4-minute mile. It's proved an enduring challenge ever since Roger Bannister broke it in 1954. The second Mullingar Harrier to break that magical mark in the history of the club will be on a bit later. You'll meet the Offaly man cycling in a peloton of firemen from Dublin to Cork in 3 days to help children with cancer. And we catch up with Robbie Donnelly and Down Syndrome Offaly about their call out for volunteers and their search for a new permanent home in the county. But first, it's my privilege to bring you our chat with Allianz Ambassador Rashidat Adeleke. Allianz have just announced the renewal of their partnership with the Olympic Federation of Ireland. Now, I can tell you, she's genuine, humble, good-natured and pretty much worthy of all the accolades. Rashida is one of the biggest role models this country has ever had in so many ways. To start our chat, I wanted to know, who did she look up to when she was young?
I think one was definitely my mom. Just seeing how hard she worked for me to achieve my dreams made me want to achieve my dreams even more, because she made so many sacrifices for me to be able to do everything I did and be where I am today. So I want to be able to make it worthwhile. And even though she's going to be proud of me regardless of what I do, I just want to make it to a point where like she's like, oh my God, like she went from, you know, being my little girl and me taking her to training to being, you know, this phenomenon that, you know, she achieved all her goals. And I just want to make her happy and make her smile. And she's smiling regardless, but she was definitely one of my biggest inspirations for sure. And I think sports-wise in Ireland was definitely Katie Taylor, because when I was growing up, I didn't really actually watch athletics that much. But I knew of Katie Taylor. I knew she was a household name. I knew like she had won the Olympics in 2012, and like that was a huge deal. And I was like, oh my God, I want to be like her. Like everybody knows who she is. She's so amazing. Like she literally won the Olympics. And back then I feel like everything was magnified, and winning the Olympics was just like so out of reach for me. So I'm like, she literally did that. That's unreal. And I just wanted to be like that. I wanted to be dominant in what I did. And I loved her humility as well. She was very like down to earth from what I've seen from like interviews and like shows that she'd be on. And I'm like, wow, I just want to be like her. She's such an inspiration. So yeah.
Good answers. I want to bring you back a bit. I was looking over some old photographs from when you were at the Mullingar Harriers for the National Track and Field Championships, juniors, under 23s, the All-Ireland schools races there at the Harriers Club as well. What are your memories of coming down here to Offaly for those championships when all of this was just starting to happen in a big way for you?
It's so funny because I would get so nervous for those championships, and I just remember the drive coming up and I'd be just trying to relax in the car and just trying to calm the nerves. And then I'd get there and I'd see all my competition. And it was literally, it's almost the same type of nervousness that I get to this point, honestly. And those are great building points, in my opinion. Like it just sets you up for where you want to go and where I am now. And that experience in itself, I definitely hold it dearly, because it's just shaped me to become who I am now. It allowed me to deal with disappointment, but allowed me to deal with the success. And yeah, it was definitely a stepping stone to me getting to where I am now and to be competing at the Olympics, because, you know, you all have to start from somewhere. And that was definitely one of my favourite starting points.
Yeah, certainly one of the things that hit me looking at the pictures is the focus in your face is the exact same as what we see on TV when you're competing at these major championships. You mentioned, obviously, Katie Taylor inspired you from a sporting perspective. What about your current rivals? I'm thinking of the likes of Paulinho and Kaczmarek. Like, they're phenomenal athletes. The times that Paulinho put in over the course of the last few months are amazing. Do you find that as a positive motivation? Do you get on with them personally?
Yeah, like, I feel like, at the end of the day, they're a competition, but I do talk to them sometimes. Some of the ones I see more often, I probably talk to a little bit more. But yeah, she seems like a very humble Paulina. She's very humble, very, very kind. You can just tell. And yeah, she's definitely someone who I'm like, wow, she's amazing. She's so dominant in the sport. And it kind of gives, and like, I know people have also always mentioned I was so young and how they're in their late 20s and now they're reaching their potential. So for me to be even as close to them now at 21, and they're about 8 years older than me, I feel like hopefully in the next couple of years I'll be able to achieve what they're doing. And yeah, it just gives me a lot of inspiration. She's so dominant, and that's actually how I want to be in the event. She is unbeaten this whole season, and you can just tell like she wants it so bad, as do I. So I think just with me nailing down and having more experience, because I know she had her times as well, but she was coming third, fourth, second, and she just was building the whole past couple of years. Like, I think last year was her first championship win at Worlds. So, and now she's Olympic champion. So it just shows how quick things can turn around and how quick you can become the best at your event. So I'm looking forward to the future and what I can achieve coming up soon.
A final question from me then is focused a bit on the training side of things. Like, from our perspective, we see your times over the course of your running career go down. You get personal bests and so on. But I'm curious as to how you find the 400 metre training sessions. Everyone I've heard from about 400 metre training has described it as hell on earth, from David Gillick to the club runners that I talk to. Are you finding the training is more agreeable, or is it just always going to be that hard?
It's always going to be hard, always, especially because the better you get, the faster you're going to have to run that training. So you can maintain that standard and you can just keep improving. So yeah, it's always going to be hard. I feel like when it gets closer to championships, it lightens up a little bit because, you're trying to peak for those. But it's still hard. And that's definitely something Flo and me talked about, because my training regime has changed a little bit. So this year was definitely a year that we experimented a bit and we learned a lot on what to do and what not to do now. So next year we're going to be able to nail down a better plan. And yeah, it's still hard. And, I'm trying to just continue working really hard, regardless of how hard the session is. I'm definitely going to give my best effort. So yeah, I'm getting used to it a bit more, used to the pain and accepting the pain, if anything. I used to be so nervous, and I still do sometimes get nervous for training because I just was going to hurt so bad. But I'm coming into that phase now where I'm just going to, I'm accepting it. It's going to hurt regardless. So just get out there and do it, and let's get it over and done with.
Understandable. Look, thanks for your time, and very best of luck with everything going forward.
Thank you.
Next, you'll meet the Mullingar Harrier who broke the 4-minute mile last week.
Health and fitness
with DS Sports, the teamwear specialists. Experience lightning fast delivery and unbeatable service for all your sporting needs at DS Sports, with gear ready in as little as 5 days. Contact 085 87 15 311 or info@dssports.ie.
Now, a little bit of history was created recently. The Mullingar Harriers runner Cormac Dalton, national cross-country champion, has ran a sub-4-minute mile, making him just the second man from the club to break that magical barrier of 4 minutes over the course of a mile. And he joins us on Health and Fitness this evening to chat about it. Cormac, congrats on the run. Did you know that you're in such esteemed company? I think it's just Mark Christie from the Mullingar Harriers that's ever clocked a time under 4 minutes.
Thanks very much, David. I was told, my coach told me pretty quick after the race. I didn't know what the record was. I think I was half a second off it in the end. So I still need to chase that. But yeah, it's just Mark ahead of me now. It's a good company to be in.
the Monument Mile Classic in Stirling in Scotland. I was just looking over some of the footage on social media, and it actually looked like a really fun meet, like a bit of atmosphere there, a kind of nighttime event. What was it like to run in?
Yeah, it was really cool. It's a new enough event. They've only got it going over the last 2 years or so, and they're really growing it every year. They're getting better and better competition, and it's really a grassroots kind of competition. So it starts early in the day, like 4 o'clock, and I think there's something like 28-mile races. From kids running 6-7 minute miles all the way down then till about 10 o'clock in the evening we were racing, and that's where the top 2 races were sub-4 races. So yeah, no, it was a brilliant event. It's a nice little low-key track. I think it only has four lanes around it, so very condensed, and the crowd was right beside you. They had flames coming across the finish line. I remember just thinking before they had flames when we were starting on the start line, and it was quite chilly, and always in Scotland the wind is always quite chilly, so I was welcoming the flames coming and warming us up on the start line.
It's a thin line between welcoming them and getting too close, maybe.
Yeah.
The distance itself, obviously, like you're the national cross country champion. You've raced in the Irish singlet on the track, and kind of the 10k and 5k would certainly be your wheelhouse as well. So it's a sharp distance for yourself, but to get under the 4 minutes, from your own perspective, how satisfying is it?
Yeah, it's really satisfying. I guess the way you look at running these days, everyone's quite fit, and it's who can close a race the fastest. So in my head, it's the faster I can get in these kind of races, the faster I can close the likes of a 5k and a 10k, and hopefully that leads to placing better in a race and winning a race. So that's kind of the long-term goal and why you kind of do these faster races. So it was really pleasing to kind of see that speed has developed a little bit, and it's definitely something I'll be targeting over the next few years, and to supplement the fitness of the 5k and 10k.
I haven't caught up with you since you went to Rome to compete in the European Championships, the 10,000 metres there. Was that like a learning experience? What did you take from such a big championship meet on the track? Yeah,
I mean, I guess I enjoyed most of the experience until the actual race. I just, with an injury earlier this year, I wasn't quite at the fitness level I needed to be, and so it was quite a tough race. But I guess it was just like any other race, but then you step out and you're in this massive stadium. So it was good to get that kind of experience, and I don't think I felt overly overwhelmed or anything on the start line. I was ready to go enjoy it, but unfortunately my body just didn't enjoy it after 5k. It started hurting in a lot of ways. So it was a tough experience in that way, but I think when training goes a bit better, more consistency, hopefully next time I can give it a bit of a better go,
Well, I think if you look at the Paris Olympics, the guys that are at the very top of their game in Ireland alongside yourself that you've raced against over the last couple of years, they have such impressive PBs, but that kind of championship environment, it's really difficult to manage to hold on to that front group. Is that because of it goes and it stops and it goes and it stops? I've always found it hard to understand where you guys obviously have the times in the legs, but there's a certain technique in performing these finals.
Yeah, it seems like it's definitely becoming people are learning more and more about what other people do in training, and from what we've heard, they're training a lot more specific for these kind of races. They'll practice in training that stop-start nature that you said, where you're going, stopping, like just increasing the pace, slowing the pace, increasing the pace, and so they're actually primed and ready for that kind of championship environment. Whereas we are probably working very hard at the minute just to actually keep up in terms of fitness, and so we can run that one time where it's nice and steady the whole way through. But so it's definitely something we need to look at. I guess I think Ireland as a whole in distance running to perfect that championship kind of race where you're stopping and starting and then getting ready to finish really, really fast. So it is actually, it's all in training. It's not a crazy secret that other people can do and we can't do. It's just about practice. Okay,
that does make a fair bit of sense. The cross-country championships will be coming up in short order. What have you got between then and now?
So I actually got into a pretty big 5K next Tuesday in Copenhagen. There's only 2 5Ks left really in the season. One of them is a Diamond League. So basically anyone that isn't at the top there are going targeting this 5K because the World Championship window has opened for next year. So some guys will use the fitness they have to hit this 5K pretty hard next week and hopefully get a qualifying time. For me personally, I'm going in there just hoping to make a personal best if I can, run well and beat some guys that I probably won't be expected to beat, So it's really exciting to be in this kind of race, and I'm looking forward to that. I'll probably take a week off, go on holidays somewhere after that, because it's been a long year battling kind of injuries and inconsistency, but you're never really on a break. If you're injured, you're always working harder than ever. So I'm going to take a week off, and then it'll be cross country then. I'm looking forward to a bit of grass. I always take well to it. Yeah.
What's your 5K PB?
It's 13:27.
Okay, sharp enough.
Yeah.
And you're physically, would you say that you're still not exactly where you want to be from having ran through this season with a few physical complaints? How are you feeling specifically now ahead of this race?
Yeah, no, I actually am pretty confident that I can run well on PB. Earlier this season I ran 13:44, kind of went out too hard and just fell off over the last 2K, and I just realised that the fitness wasn't really there. So I put in a big 5-6 week training block since then. Still managed to get sick in the middle. There's just so much going around at the minute. Things like that. So there's been one or two of them this summer, which has kind of knocked me in my stride. But I came back I got the sub 4 minute mile off that sickness, so pretty confident I can put in a good performance next week, and hopefully take some nice seconds off that PB.
Yeah, well, we'll be looking out for that result, and obviously we look forward to seeing how you get on in the cross country. How does it work for you in terms of cross country? You start training when you come back from that little holiday, presumably cross country, and when's your first big race?
I'll probably mimic last season exactly, because it went so well.
Not a bad idea,
to be honest. It's easy to follow something that went well, but I did a race in Spain around the end of October last year, which is a pretty high caliber cross country race. It normally has like world cross country champions and a lot of East Africans in it. So I was 11th in that last year. I'll probably target to that again this year, especially because European cross country is in Turkey this year. So it'll be a flat, fast kind of course, and Spain is similar enough. So we'll have to be kind of track ready for this year's cross country in a way.
Okay, well, that's all to look forward to. Well done again on getting under the 4 minutes. Great to have your name up in lights with the Mullingar Harriers. An historic achievement for the club to get another member under that amazing barrier. And best of luck in Sweden. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks very much, David.
We're about to find out what's going on with Irish and American Fire and Rescue Service workers and Aveen's Thai charity. Here's a hint. It involves hundreds of kilometres of cycling.
Health and fitness
with DS Sports, the teamwear specialists. Experience lightning fast delivery and unbeatable service for all your sporting needs at DS Sports, with gear ready in as little as 5 days. Contact 085 87 15 311 or info@dssports.ie.
360 kilometres on a bike in 3 days. It's certainly a mammoth task, but what's behind such a motivation to take on such a challenge is actually more than decent. I'm very glad to introduce Phil Keegan. He's a Clara station officer with Offaly Fire and Rescue. He joins us on Health and Fitness to tell us about a fundraising cycle that the National Retained Firefighters Association of Ireland are taking on. It's a charity cycling event coming up in September, partnering with the FDNY charity Friends of Firefighters and Aveen's Pink Tie from the American Ambassador's Residence in Phoenix Park in Dublin on the 9th of September, all the way to the Memorial Gardens in Kinsale in Cork on September 11th. Phil, obviously this is in aid of and to support and in memorial of those who served in the fire services over the course of 9/11, a worthy cause and a huge challenge.
Yeah, for sure. This is our first time to take on something of this magnitude. Albeit we've been fundraising for Avon's Pink Tie for a number of years in association with our National Retained Firefighters Association. And this year, by way of a number of different introductions, we ended up talking to guys from New York. And they were very interested in doing some sort of collaboration, especially for their Friends of Firefighters, which is a mental health charity that they run outside of the normal New York Fire Department. Really worthy cause too. So we decided that this year we'd try and pull together. So we have 40 firefighters coming in from New York and surrounding boroughs there to do the cycle with us. So it's going to be a collaboration of about 50 from Irish retained firefighters and 40 from New York, which will make a pretty big peloton of about 90 cyclists, Our route is to take us from the American ambassadors, the American embassy, on the day one, all the way down to our first day finishes in Gorey, and then from Gorey then to Dungarvan, and then our third day then from Dungarvan all the way out to Kinsale, which is a pretty. It looks fine on a map, but when you go to take on the task, suitably enough, there's a lot of firefighters now out and about, apart from the fundraising, trying to get plenty of kilometres in on the legs.
Yeah.
For the cycling that's coming up. It's broken down into 3 phases, approximately about 120 kilometres each day now, give or take, depending on how things go. Hopefully the winds won't be too bad over the 3 days, but it does require that firefighters need to get out and be doing on average between 80 and 100 kilometres on the bike each day, a couple of days a week for right up until the event.
Well, that's because it's a huge ask to get any amateur cyclist or someone who isn't really experienced on a bike to sit on a saddle for that length of time. Generally, you really do need to put the prep in.
Yeah, it's important to have small goals. For me, it started about. I'm used to doing touring cycling. I've done this type of stuff before, but it's been a while. So of course, the muscle memory needs to be recharged, and you need to find that ability to be able to sit in the saddle for 4 or 5 hours at a time. So took on an event there last week there, which was Pedal the Peaks there in Offaly, and it was good. It was a good gauger for. I did the 85 one now, which was basically around the bottoms of the mountains, which was a good gauge, how I was standing. So that got around that reasonably comfortably. So the next one now is to just push it on and get over the 100 mark and keep going,
Yeah, well, I think you'd be well prepped in that regard, Phil. How were the conditions for Pedal the Peaks? I know that's so much of these events are contingent on what you're faced with in terms of the weather.
Yeah, most cyclists say the weather's the weather, but the wind can be a factor. Now, the wind did definitely test everybody there on Sunday for sure. Even the strongest of cyclists got tested there with some of the winds, especially up around the cut and that. Any of them that went across there and did the Four Peaks challenge, 125 kilometres. And that was dicey enough, up there. But everybody got round it in reasonably good shape and that sort of thing. And it was a very memorable day. I must admit now I enjoyed it again.
It's a great event, isn't it?
In a group again and pedaling around the place,
Yeah, it's an event I only hear good things about. Let's bring the focus back to this 9/11 firefighter cycle taking place in September. The camaraderie between firefighters from beyond, say, your colleagues in Offaly, is it quite strong? Firefighter meets another firefighter regardless of the jurisdiction. There's a certain level of respect and kind of brotherhood there.
Yeah, it's just it's a common thing with firefighters. We all go through the same process to get to where we are. Everybody does the same course. It's at the same level. It's the same delivery system across the country. So what guys are doing in Dublin in the whole time it's been done reflected in the retained as well. So the skill sets are the exact same. The process you go through to get to where you are is the exact same. Albeit, say, for retained firefighters takes a little bit longer, whereas the whole time guys, their training is concentrated over nearly a year's training, whereas ours would be spread over maybe a year and a half, maybe to two, depending on county to county and that sort of thing. But you'd like to see, but the basic course is the 3-week firefighter course, or firefighter skills course, and then the 2-week BA along with a week compartment fire behaviour. They're kind of the baseline courses that need to be done, and then thereafter then you specialise in all the different other specialist equipment that we have on our truck, which is a lot. There is so much stuff now compared to what was there 50 years ago, and firefighter is still the same. Like, if you're a firefighter, you're a firefighter, basic skill sets the same, but the skill sets we have now is far and beyond what was there 50 years ago, Just by the nature of how firefighting has evolved and the way structures are built now and compartments are built, and how we have to adapt to different things like medical turnouts, your cars, especially the new vehicles on the road now, the electric vehicles. We have to have a skill set for that as well, and training for those as well to keep up with modern technology and how it's moving along.
Yeah, I can imagine it takes a bit of updating on a regular basis. What kind of physical kind of requirements exist if you want to be a retained firefighter? Is there anything along those lines?
Yeah, so what we run is suitability tests. We actually have candidates today and tomorrow actually in Offaly being put through the suitability tests, and basically requires that they need to not have a problem with heights, so they'll be tested on climbing a ladder and be able to read number boards off the ladder at anything up to about they go up to 13.5 metre ladder, so they'll be about 10 metres from the ground, looking at number boards. So if you have a problem with heights, obviously we'll figure that out there. Casualty handling, which is basically musculoskeletal endurance, like to show that you're able to pick up a weight, move it from A to B. We have a loaded run then, which is cardiovascular and anaerobic endurance, like so as you can move material, firefighting equipment from one point to another over a period of time. So it's like a shuttle run. After that, then you have your claustrophobia test, which is a test confined spaces that, for obvious reasons, some of the structures may go into would not be, they're definitely not conducive to human life and stuff like that, especially when you're coming out of a burning building and we're going into it. So with that in mind, that the structure could be partially collapsed or stuff like that, and you'd have confined spaces where we'd have to crawl through. So you can't be getting upset about being in a tight squeeze and having to be able to manoeuvre yourself with a BA set and all your equipment through a confined space. So we test for that. Then we have Run the Tower, which is basically another musculoskeletal endurance event. Basically that you're able to carry hoses up a ladder and back up a series of flights of stairs and back down again,
Okay.
And then we have a dexterity and problem solving test, which is basically a series of couplings and stuff like that we use that join hoses and different lines together that you have to be able to assemble in a set time. So it ticks all the boxes for us as regards how we pick the right people for the job, It sounds very thorough.
Tell us, how long have you been doing this yourself?
I'm 14 years in the fire service in November.
Okay, 14 years ago, so around 2010. Tell us then, obviously you probably have your own personal memories of 9/11. I think we all it's one of those moments where we remember where we were at the time. When you were then training to become, and you did become a retained firefighter, did your memories or how you relate to 9/11 change in your mind, because you would have developed an insight about what it took for those firefighters to go into those buildings?
Yeah, at the time, actually, 9/11 came around. I was actually serving in the Defence Forces, so I was, and I was actually conducting peace support operations in conjunction with European partners at the time.
Okay.
And it kind of sowed, I guess it sowed a seed in my head about being a firefighter at the time. Not thinking I would be, and it would be my chosen career then. When I left the Defence Forces, but yeah, look, I understand thoroughly what those guys faced, and the daunting prospect that, listen, you were going there and that was it.
Yeah. This is all to raise money for the three groups: the National Retained Firefighters Association in Ireland, Aveen's Pink Tie, which helps children and their families who are struggling with cancer, giving them support. They need to focus on their well-being, and the Friends of Firefighters in New York City. You've raised over a couple of grand already. Is there a goal you're aware of? How can people get on and support the cause?
Yeah, absolutely. They can go on to if they locate Aveen's Pink Tie, have a portal on Facebook there. So you just look up Aveen's Pink Tie. There's a specific GoFundMe page for that will take you to the National Retained Firefighters Association GoFundMe page. So if you look up National Retained Firefighters Association, there's a GoFundMe page there specific to that. There's bucket collections going on around the country at the moment and at different events and that type of thing. There's a QR code there, or an emoji that you can just put your camera onto, and it'll take you straight to the site that you need to go to make a donation. Like there'll be minimal amount of the funds going to actually the National Retained Firefighters Association. We really don't look for anything out of that. It's more to do with the Aveen's Pink Tie. That's our chosen charity every year. And we're supporting our colleagues in America as well with their mental health charity as well. So it's just a really amazing positive thing to be involved in, and can't sing the guys' praises enough, for coming on board with us guys from New York and our own firefighters here in Ireland, who day in, day out, week in, week out, every hour of the day are on call there to make sure that the people of this country are kept safe and looked after.
Well, what you're taking on is obviously a huge challenge, over 100 kilometres a day, but by the same token, I'd say there'd be some mighty crack in the peloton over the course of the 3 days.
Yeah, that'll be good fun. I'm looking forward to that, actually, just getting into the groups, and as we roll up, then you'll be meeting a different guy each time you roll up, or a girl for that matter, and having a chat and just see where they're all at and how they're all getting on and that sort of thing. And I guess the breather in the hotels will be pretty good as well. It's going to create its own energy, really. Once you put that amount of people together for a charity, it's going to be a pretty big spectacle. I don't think anything like this has ever been done in the country before.
I hope the wind is at your back for the whole journey. It's quite the itinerary as you've laid out there, Phil. Flying the flag for Offaly Fire and Rescue, flying the flag, of course, for Ireland in this regard as well. And the very best of luck with the event. Thanks for joining us on Health and Fitness this evening.
Thanks a million, David. Much appreciated. All right.
Offaly Down syndrome need your help. Not a lot, just a little. And in that little bit, just that little bit, is everything. You're about to learn about the magic of volunteerism.
Health and Fitness
with DS Sports, the teamwear specialists. Experience lightning fast delivery and unbeatable service for all your sporting needs at DS Sports. With gear ready in as little as 5 days. Contact 085 87 15 311 or info@dssports.ie.
Next on Health and Fitness, we're turning our attention to Down Syndrome Ireland and one of the Midlands branches, and their representative joins us on the programme. I'm very glad to welcome Robbie Donnelly, the branch administrator for Offaly Down Syndrome Ireland, to Health and Fitness. Robbie, thanks for taking the time to talk to us this evening.
Thanks for having me, David. Thank you.
Not at all. Look, we wanted to profile the work that you guys do because I think ultimately the platforming and exposure that groups like Down Syndrome Ireland get, whilst it's helpful, I think we all agree that plenty more can be done considering the work that you guys put into it. So let's start off generally speaking. The Offaly branch of Down Syndrome Ireland, how are things going at the moment? What are the things that are keeping you guys busy?
Yeah, David, we're actually having quite a good year at the moment, which is remarkable because I know currently a lot of charities are struggling as things get more expensive in the shops for our groceries. We have less and less money to give to charity, and also people's time. They have a lot less time to give to charity as well. But for ourselves, we're actually doing very well. We started in 1984, formed just by a handful of parents. And have grown now to 40 years later. We have about 56 members or families on our books. and we are going from strength to strength. We're currently trying to raise some money for us to be able to get our very own centre, because as you know, with most voluntary organisations, you work from your spare bedroom or your kitchen or elsewhere, and it's always tough to do, but we are hoping that we can now actually get somewhere where we can actually work, have a proper base and make it official, so we can bring in our own kind of therapies to the building and such like. So it's been a very good year for us.
Okay, securing your own building is a serious job of work, as I think anyone who has a vague understanding of the situation with property across the country. So I imagine Offaly, the Offaly branch of Down Syndrome Ireland, very much putting out an appeal to anyone who has a good knowledge of how land works across the county, and if there's any sort of accommodation that can be made with some assistance to Offaly Down Syndrome Ireland, because you'll need every bit of help to get this one over the line.
Absolutely. And to be honest with you, David, what we're not looking for much, to be honest with you. We are probably looking for somewhere which is either a house where there's separate rooms, so we can actually have rooms within this house for therapy. We can actually do up the kitchen, so we can do cookery classes. We can have a whole kind of series of little workrooms that we can use. That will be brilliant. The only trouble with getting a house is we would actually be a commercial property, as we're basically a company or a charity, so we wouldn't be able to move into something that is residential. So you're then looking at changing, if you get somewhere residential, you're looking at actually changing the use of ownership. So it's tough. We're looking for somewhere almost like, and I hate to say it, but somewhere where there's been an old business. There's not retail, there's not high street. We don't need to be right in people's eyes. We just want somewhere that we can use, that we can call a home, we can use for storage, we can use as a base for our members to come to, get their therapies, and actually have somewhere that's safe and somewhere where you can park. Okay,
vacant commercial premises is what we're talking about, essentially, if there are any out there.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, even if I would love to say somebody from the county council listening and you actually knew of vacant properties that they would like to not even give but rent on a very cheap basis to a local to a local charity, that would be awesome.
Okay, so the work goes on to raise funds and seek out support and ultimately do what you can to deliver a better service for families who live with Down syndrome. Let's talk about the other side of the operation here, which is the manpower, for want of a better expression, and that's the volunteers. I know, having spoken to plenty of charity organisations across the Midlands over the last couple of years, that no institution or no organisation can ever have too many volunteers. And ultimately, Robbie, it's very much the opposite case. It's the bread and butter struggle for somewhere like Down Syndrome Ireland, and the Offaly branch is getting the boots on the ground to help and to take time out of whatever it is they do to be of assistance.
Absolutely. I mean, the main way that we actually raise money is by going out and asking people for money. We do have a lot of businesses who support us and sponsor us, a lot of other organisations. We actually had the Brereton's Bar tractor run who raised €12,000 for us, which was amazing. But with that, we actually have to turn up as well with people and be there to help with traffic management, such like. We can't keep asking our members to do this because A, our members have Down syndrome, B, they're the people that we're actually raising money for, and C, they've got a lot going on as well. You know, we have a lot of young families who, to be able to actually bring their children with Down syndrome out and do things, they may only be able to be around for an hour, and they've got a lot of other things going on, as most families. So we understand how difficult it is for people to want to give up their time. Everybody's time is so precious these days. But, you know, there are so many benefits that you can actually get from volunteering that we've actually done quite a bit of research on. For example, things like personal growth and development, you know, skill development. Volunteering allows you to learn new skills and refine your existing ones. You get a lot of self-confidence, self of purpose, or a sense of purpose, rather. There's networking opportunities. You can build relationships. You can contribute to change. You can learn so much. And you also get that volunteering buzz of when you actually help somebody, it makes you feel really good about yourself. And that's just what we're looking for. We just want people, and we're not talking hours upon hours a week. We have a fundraiser going on in Derry next weekend, and we're looking for some volunteers for there to literally stand at a table and shake a bucket for 2 hours maximum. But trying to get these people is so difficult, and that's the thing. We really want to kind of do a push of getting people interested in what we do, so that we can help them as well. You know, you do have a lot of people who, for instance, want to get out and socialise more, but they just don't know how to. They don't want to go to a pub and they don't want to meet people. And when they go into the shops, into Tesco or whatever, everybody's doing their own thing, or whatever supermarket it is. So we really want to help people as well. Help us, if you know what I mean.
Do you find, as the years have gone by, people are less likely to put themselves out there? You know, I'm alluding to this sort of generational shift and the worlds of technology that we're living through. Has that altered the landscape in terms of volunteerism, do you think?
Absolutely. I think a lot of times, many years ago, if people wanted to make new friends, they would go out and they would volunteer. Now they just pick up their phone and they go onto social media and people find them. A lot of people don't have the time anymore. A lot of people, families are getting bigger. I know with my children, we have camogie practice, we have basketball, we have karate, we have GAA, we have chess club. Trying to get it all in is ridiculous. And some parents are absolutely exhausted. And the way that the economy is at the moment, we know that we are one of the most expensive countries in the world for food. You know, some parents are doing double jobs because they have to feed their family. So therefore, they're not actually going to be able to find the time to go out and help. It's a really, really difficult situation for us. But, you know, if we could just find an extra 4 or 5 people that can help and they bring friends along, and you'll actually see what the benefits are of volunteering.
Yeah, and from your perspective, small progress or a small amount of people collectively dedicating a few hours a week is the difference between night and day for you guys.
But absolutely. It's the difference of, for example, if we're out selling raffle tickets, it's the difference in selling 50 raffle tickets to 200 raffle tickets.
Yeah,
it's a big difference. It's a big difference. All money that comes into Down syndrome stays in Offaly. So, you know, it means that when we can get speech and language therapy for our members, it pays for us. It pays for outings. It pays for cinema trips. It pays for a bus to take us to a Christmas show in Dublin. You know, whatever it is, every single piece of money that comes into Offaly syndrome stays in Offaly.
And if anyone listening to the show, be it on podcast or live on air this evening, it hits them that, you know what, I want to give this a try, how do they go about it? How do they get in touch?
Very, very simple indeed. Go onto Facebook, look for our Facebook page, which is literally Offaly Down Syndrome Association. There's a button on there where you can literally just message me. It comes straight through to my laptop, or you can give me a call on my work number, which is 086 176 1271. Leave a message, send a text, just send me your details and I'll get back to you and see if we can get a nice little partnership together.
Robbie, before we sign off, I do want to address a slightly more complex question, which is the idea of equality and treatment and stigma and all of this stuff that is wrapped up in things like Down syndrome and things like this. Where do you think we are today? Your members and the families who have Down syndrome, what's the anecdotal experience that they have in the modern day world through the Midlands?
It's getting better. We're in a better place today than we were yesterday. but there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. I think that is very much down to ourselves in Down Syndrome Ireland as a national organisation to actually put the message out there. And we do try. Every time we have a good story, we put it out there. We have a lot of members now who have jobs, run-of-the-mill jobs, jobs where they're going out and working in a supermarket or being a hairdresser or being a painter and decorator. So it is happening. It is. And I think it's just the fact that sometimes people just need to give people with Down syndrome a chance. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And you can't honestly tell me that, if you were to employ 10 people to do a job, all 10 of those people are going to be really good at it. So it makes no difference if you've got Down syndrome or not. Somebody with Down syndrome can be equally as good at doing a job than someone who doesn't have Down syndrome. It's just giving people with Down syndrome a chance. That's all we're looking for. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Not every job that you've done is always for you. So it's a learning curve. It's more education needs to be out there, which we are trying to do. And again, with volunteers coming on board, people get the message out there more. People learn, which is a great way of doing this. Having people to come out and volunteer and learn about what it's like with Down syndrome.
Well, Robbie, if the experience of volunteering for a body like Offaly Down Syndrome Ireland is anything to go by listening to you, then I'm hoping that your phone will be ringing regularly off the hook, because your enthusiasm is pouring over the phone for it. We wish you the very best. We thank you for taking the time to talk to us. And again, if you want to get involved in volunteering for Offaly Down Syndrome Association, they're on Facebook, and it's those exact words, Offaly Down Syndrome Association. Robbie Donnelly, thanks again.
David, thank you very much for having us.
That's our lot for Health and Fitness this week. Thanks to everyone for joining us. Thank you for listening. Have a good week. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon.